long introduction kind of makes me feel really old. Woo! Thank you, Jeff. What a pleasure. You know, I am truly honored to share this stage tonight with such an esteemed member of Congress who has served this area with distinction, Congressman Young. I know that I speak for my husband, Rick, who's a former Air Force pilot, in saying our nation is indebted to you as a congressman for your service, and particularly as chairman of the House Appropriations Subcommittee on Defense. My husband strongly feels that if we are weak militarily, we lose our standing in this world. He so believes that our military. It's also great to be here with Representative John Levy. John, thank you. What wonderful words. You know, you guys have got a lot of talent, and young talent here in Florida. Plus, you have such a great time. Now I know I have to compete with you all the time on bringing people to Texas. They're all here in Florida. Even my buddy Chet from Comanche, Texas moved to Florida. What's up with that? I want to say a special thanks to J.J. Baruti for allowing me to be a part of the program for this Reagan Day dinner. My very first time as a speaker for a Reagan Day dinner. I've been to many, but my very first Ronald Reagan pin. It's Ronald Reagan now. I was in Florida on Monday in Tampa. Some of you may watch the debate. I was sitting there watching my watch. I couldn't wait to get out. It was an interesting night that night, to say the least. There were some rumors going around. There was a rumor going around that Chuck Norris was there as our special guest. It was one of those internet rumors that for some reason caught fire. But in reality, Chuck was busy that night securing the border with Mexico by himself. We're all familiar with Chuck Norris. You know, just live in Texas. We like Chuck. Superhuman Chuck Norris. But you may have heard that there are some Rick Perry facts that are filtering out there on Twitter. A couple of my personal favorites about Rick. Ronald Reagan once sent Rick Perry into the Paprika stand to take care of a situation. Never heard of Paprika stand? Exactly. Okay, not my favorite. Here's another one. In 1977, Rick Perry won the World Series of Poker, holding only a joker, a get out of jail free card, and a green number 4 from the game of Uno. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, we can get down to business, because although I really thought you wanted me to come hear all about me, I think you want to hear about my husband. So I will tell you this. Rick Perry was not born with 4 aces in his hand. His parents were tenant farmers. His father, like my dad, fought in World War II. His father was in the European theater, mine was in the Pacific. And when Rick's dad came home from Europe, he started farming in a small community called Paint Creek. At the Paint Creek Rural High School, well, first you got to get this picture of Paint Creek and where Rick Perry grew up. Any people from Texas in here besides Wes and Chet? Anybody know where Paint Creek, Texas is? Well, Paint Creek, you do? You're the winner. Paint Creek is a road. It's a farming community. It's a road with a Baptist church on one end, a Methodist church on the other, and in the middle is a school, grades K through 12. Rick had 13 students in his graduating class, and he was highest ranking boy. Now, I grew up in Haskell, which is up the road about 13 miles. I had 4,200 people in my town. It was quite the metropolis. But for those of you who don't know where Paint Creek is, you can now get a Texas map and you can go find it. Because when Rick became governor, he had Paint Creek put on the map. Now, I'm proud of Rick. Not everyone is willing to step into this arena. In fact, Beverly had some comments for me when she sat down beside me. I said, Beverly, tell me how you really feel. But we stepped into this arena knowing that it was going to be bloody. We were going to have some scarring moments. But we're here because we truly believe that our country will be destroyed if the present president is reelected again. The good thing about Rick, if you don't know about it, and I've known him since I was 6 years old, I think I know a little bit about him, he does not back down in the face of criticism. He rejects weather-vane politics where politicians figure out the direction of the wind before they take a position. When he stakes his ground, he holds it like a good military veteran should. That's why he hasn't backed down an inch from saying, Social Security's financing is broken. It must be reformed, not get away with the system. Simply reform it and save it so that future generations will also have it. For those of you, like my friend Chet, it's going to be there. It's going to be there for me. But for my 28 and 25-year-old, it's not going to be there. That is all he is saying. We need to look at it. We need to have an adult conversation on why and how it will be there for our younger generation. He admits we have a problem. If there's a problem, if you don't admit it, how can you ever fix it? The Obama administration has given this country a whole slew of problems. After 3 years of policies that have produced joblessness, skyrocketing debt, and downgraded credit, we need a strong leader in the White House. As President Ronald Reagan said, there are no easy answers, but there are simple answers. We must have the courage to do what we know is morally right. Rick Perry will get America working again. His record shows it. Our state's labor force has increased by 739,000 people since the recession started in December of 2009. So that tells me two things. Number one, people are coming to Texas because the private sector companies are filling jobs. And number two, it tells you that people are coming to Texas without even having a job lined up because they've heard it's the best place to have one. CEO magazine has ranked Texas the best place to find employment in America for 7 years in a row. There are reasons for that. 739,000 new workers in less than 4 years, and our unemployment rate is still below the national average. And we have at least 1,500 people moving to Texas every single day. Rick likes to say that our home is roughly to 40% of the new jobs created in America since 2009. Now, some of you may wonder why I picked that date, June of 2009, because it is supposedly when the recovery started. Recovery? Recovery is an economic term, but it inspires little faith in our politics when today still 1 in every 6 work-eligible Americans cannot even find a full-time job. No civilization has ever taxed and spent its way to prosperity. It is astounding and frightening that our economic security is dependent upon Chinese banks and Middle Eastern oil. Coming from an energy state, which not only produces natural gas and oil, but America's largest quantity of wind energy, Rick knows we have to increase exploration at home. This is a national security issue. The security of our country is tied to the source of our energy. He knows that private enterprise and private citizens don't need to be told what to do by Washington. He will get Washington out of the way so Americans can get back to work. And when we get America working again, we will be stronger economically, we will be stronger militarily, and the world will be a better place. In closing, I really thought about this, and I really debated back and forth whether I should even bring this up or share this with you, but I want you to know a little bit about us. I want you to know that we are real people. We have real problems. We have children that we're worried about. Last November, after Rick was reelected as governor, he was lieutenant governor when President Bush became president, 43. And then he ran for a term and he was elected in 2002. He ran for another term in 2006 and he was reelected. In 2010, he was reelected. He's the longest serving governor in Texas, ever. So last November, after he was reelected, you know, there was a lot of chatter out there about, you know, Rick ought to run for president. Rick ought to run. He's never lost an election. He's who we need. He makes tough decisions. He tells you something, he means it. He stands by his word. My husband didn't want to hear a word of that. He did not want to leave and go to Washington, or even the thought of going to Washington. He likes being governor of Texas. He's really good at it. Well, he is. We heard the chatter, and it was tugging at my heart. Lord, please just give me the right words to say to him. Please give me the right words. I come in the mornings and he gets up, I'm always up, you know, milking cows or making coffee, but every now and then he gets up before me and he'd be reading from the paper, reading off his computer, and he'd say, we lost 2 more servicemen last night. We lost another soldier. We lost another Marine. And I'd listen, and I'd be compassionate. Until finally I got fed up to hear with that. And I said, you know what? We have no leadership in Washington. And I would turn around and walk out the door and go make up the bed and do whatever I did. We had special, we had, you know, legislative session. We just meet every other year. Thank goodness, unlike you guys, every year. I don't know how you do that. But we had session until June 30th. He said, you know, I can't even think about it till we get out of session. I've got so much. You know, we had loser pay. I was telling the doctor here tonight. We had a lot of other things going on. And so I can't even really think about it. But somewhere in that period of time, we thought, you know what, we might really think about this. And we need to have a serious conversation with our children. We have 2 children, Griffin, who's 28, and in New Hampshire campaigning for his dad this weekend. We have a daughter, Sydney. Our son, Griffin, is married to Meredith, as was mentioned. So we had them down, and we were talking about it over the weekend. Griffin is, yes, Dad, go, yes, I'm in. What can I do? I need to, you know, get out here. I need to start raising money. Sydney Perry's 25, and she said, okay, whatever, that's good. Yeah, Dad, you can do it, I'm with you. Our daughter-in-law sat there and kind of looked at her husband. My son kind of looked at me, kind of looked at Rick, kind of looked at Sydney, like, oh my goodness, what a family have I gotten into? I'm not sure about this. Her parents are kind of apolitical, and, you know, they're talking about maybe I have 2 biological children, as I said, and we have a daughter-in-law, Meredith. But through the years, one of Rick's very best friends was 3-star Marine General who was in Okinawa, 2 tours. One of those tours, he had a daughter that lived in Austin, and we said we adopted her, but she came and stayed with us a lot. When she got married, we had the reception at the house. We were very, very close to her. So I called her and I said, so Julie, we're really kind of thinking about running for president. What do you think? Yeah, that'd be good. Yes, he wants to. Now, you got to understand, Julie had a baby March the 11th, a little girl. This past March, she was 2. Last August, Julie had a baby, a little girl, August the 11th. That little child is 1. Julie is due Wednesday with her 3rd little girl. So she was very pregnant. She really couldn't think about running for president, so she was fine with whatever we did. And then, in 2006, we were in San Diego and we met a young man who really changed our lives when he came into our lives. You may have heard of him. He had a best-selling book out called Lone Survivor. His name is Marcus Luttrell. He was, at that time, the only surviving member of the worst Navy SEAL disaster in the history of Navy SEALs. And before we knew it, Marcus was coming over to our house. Show up at the door, we let him in, had his own bedroom, he'd come and go. Sometimes he'd come stay 3 weeks, sometimes he'd come stay 3 days. We never knew he was coming, we were just there for him. So we called Marcus and he said, you know what, I need to come over there and talk to you guys about this. So he loaded up in his truck and came rambling in one day and he said, I don't want you to do this. I don't want you to do this. I can't stand to see the family, calls his family. I can't stand to see the family go through this because I know what they will do to you. I know how they will write that story, 100 stories, 1,000 different times. We're already seeing that. They're going to ask you the same question 100 times, 1,000 different ways. I don't want you to do this. Well, we made the decision to do it. And on August the 13th, Rick announced in Charleston, South Carolina, we went to New Hampshire, we went to Iowa, we went back to New Hampshire, we went to South Carolina. On August the 15th, I had a text message from Marcus. And the message said, I have now buried 87 of my brothers. That is way too many to lose. I have changed my mind. Our country needs a leader. I'm with you. Ladies and gentlemen,